Hi there everyone, and welcome to another quick review, and today we're taking a look at Demon's Souls Remastered for the PlayStation 5. And this is going to be a very interesting quick review, because I feel like all I have to do is just say, yeah, it's Demon's Souls. It's 100% just Demon's Souls. I played Demon's Souls when it originally came out, and by the way, I am aware that the title of the game is Demon's Souls, but I kept saying Demon's Souls for over a decade. I don't think I'm going to magically fix that now. So I played Demon's Souls when it originally came out on the PlayStation 3. I did not get far into it because I kind of stunk at it. But I picked this one back up because since then I have become a big fan of the Souls series, and I've always kind of wanted to return to Demon's Souls, so I'm glad this game gave me the opportunity to. And it is wild that as I was running around in this world, it was just a huge wave of nostalgia. It was almost like when you go back to a part of town that you haven't visited since you were a kid, but now that you're returning to it, you're like, oh man, yeah, that's where that thing is. Oh, I remember hanging out at that place. It's kind of that exact same feeling because everything is exactly the same. All the monsters are in the exact same place. The layout of the levels is exactly the same. It just looks insanely good now, which is incredible to me because yeah, the Souls games eventually look good. Dark Souls 3 looks good, Bloodborne looks good, Sekiro looks good, but the original Demon's Souls, Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2, they are pretty bad looking games, even for the time period that came out. So it is kind of wild to revisit this game and just see everything looking so crisp and so detailed. And you can look out and just see for miles and miles, and you can always do that. You can always look very far in a Demon's Souls game and just see like a castle way off in the distance and think to yourself, oh man, I can't wait until I get there. But now the castle is so crisp and so textured that you can look at, and I swear, I wear glasses, it felt like my vision was improving. It felt like I had 20/20 vision for the first time in my life looking at this. I don't mean to just completely get up the PlayStation 5's butt here and just applaud it for its amazing graphics, but yeah, it is kind of stunning to me to return to a game that never really looked good, and now it's one of the best looking games that I've played all year. But that isn't the only improvement that is thanks to the PlayStation 5 hardware. The original Demon's Souls was also known for having painfully long load sequences. And in this game, it's crazy. You can go from one world to another world. Just go up to your little bonfire and just teleport from one location to another, and it takes 6 seconds. And it's just insane to me that we can do that now. It is crazy that a game that used to just be dragged down by these painfully long load sequences, you can just go from one location to another like it's nothing. I remember in the old game, if I teleported to a different location, and then I thought to myself, oh man, there was something that I forgot to do back in that old location, I would actually have to stop and think, do I want to just sit here and just wait to teleport back there? But now, whenever I leave the Nexus, which is your hub, your main base in Demon's Souls, I would go to a location, and then I would remember, oh yeah, I totally forgot to go and speak to the blacksmith there and upgrade my weapons. Boop, you're back there. You're right back there. You upgrade your weapon. Now boop, you're right back there in the place where you had just teleported to. It's crazy. It's great. I love it. However, if you did play the original Demon's Souls, there are a few other small improvements that they made. Just sort of quality of life improvements. Like in the original Demon's Souls, you could only carry a certain amount of items, and the amount of items that you could carry would be determined by how much weight you could carry, because every single item has its own weight, so when you pick up something that's too heavy, that's it, you can't carry it. And the old games, you literally just couldn't carry it. If you go up to an item and it's too heavy, you would look at that item and you would just have to stare at it there on the floor and just think, well, that's gonna disappear as soon as I leave this world. Goodbye, useful item. It was nice knowing you. Would have been really nice to use you, but I can't do that. Now, if you go up to an item and it says, this item is too heavy, you're not going to be able to carry it. Would you like us to just instantly teleport it back to your base so you can grab it there whenever you want? Yes, thank you, Demon's Souls. That is very nice of you. Also, this is going to be a very small improvement that they made, but oh my gosh, is it appreciated. You can now quick travel up and down ladders. In the old game, if you went up and down a ladder, you were basically just molasses in winter being sprinkled down those stairs. Now you can actually hold the run button when you go up and down ladders so that you go up there quicker. This means nothing to anyone out there who did not play the original Demon's Souls. So let's get into like an actual review of what the game is. It is the very first Dark Souls game. It is the very first of the Souls legacy. I know someone's going to say, well, it's not actually tied to Dark Souls, but you know what I mean. This was the progenitor. This was the game that all the other Souls games were based around. And if you have never played Demon's Souls, but you are a fan of the Souls franchise, I definitely think it is worth returning to this game because it is interesting to see how so many of the ideas that Miyazaki had for the later Souls games kind of had like a rough draft version in this game. Like there's so many things that pop up in Dark Souls, so many things that pop up in Bloodborne that just came directly from this game, but they were implemented in a different way or they weren't quite done being crafted yet. It's a really fascinating experience if you're a big fan of the Souls franchise. If you are a fan of Dark Souls or Bloodborne, I would absolutely recommend going back and playing this game just so that you can look at it and go, oh, that's where that thing came from. However, if you have never played a Dark Souls game before, should you pick this game up? If you are a fan of action games with deep lores and dark fantasy settings, I would recommend this game. However, remember how I said this was the first Souls game and everything in here didn't quite feel like it was as prepared and they weren't quite done working on it compared to the later Souls games? Yeah, even if you have never played a Souls game, there's going to be some things in here that just feel odd to you. For example, the layout of the world is very unique in Demon's Souls, because in this game, you don't go on a quest and then you just explore down this one path, and every now and again there's a little bit that offshoots over in this direction, or a section that goes off in this way, like a little side quest over there. No. The way that this world is set up is that you wake up in this place called the Nexus, and then you look around, and there are 5 pillars, and each of these pillars will transport you to a different land. And in that land, you gotta go through there and you gotta clear out all the bosses. However, it's not like you go through the first pillar and get everything in the first world. Then you go on to the second world. Then you go on to the third world, etc. No, you can pretty much just start wherever you want, although it is heavily hinted at in the game which door you're supposed to go towards. There's a guy saying right in front of one of the doors, and if you go up to him, it's like, oh, you're here to hunt demon souls? Well, just go right through here. You don't have to go right through there, but it's kind of telling you, yeah, that's where you're supposed to go, which is kind of how all the Souls games are. They don't really tell you what you're supposed to do, but if you talk to everyone, people are going to give you really big hints about what you're supposed to do. But you're going to go through there and you clear out the first boss, and then after that, you have the option to continue going through the first world, or you can then leave, and then you can go over to the second world, or the third world, or whichever other world you want. And the way that I did this is I played through and I went through world 1-1, then 2-1, then 3-1, then 4-1, and then I got to 5-1, and I took one look at that and I went, oh no, screw that, I don't want to do that yet. So then I went back to not even 1-2, but I went to 2-2, and then I went to 3-2, and then I went to 4-2. And here is how this all becomes a very interesting experience. There is certainly a difficulty progression when it comes to each of these worlds and each of the bosses. But when you're at the same level on each world, the difficulty is about the same with every single one of them. For example, the boss of 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, they get a little bit tougher when you go from one boss to the next, but not that much. It isn't really until you get to like 1-2 that suddenly the difficulty goes up. And then 1-2 and 2-2 and 3-2, they're all gonna be around the same. So what that means is, if you decide to go 1-1, and then you go over to 2-1, and then you go over to 3-1, by the time that you are done with 5-1, and then you decide to go back to 1-2, you have now leveled up an insane amount. So the boss of 1-2 is not going to be as difficult as they would be if you decide to just go 1-1, then 1-2. In fact, in all honesty, if you decide to go 1-1, then over to 2-1, then over to 3-1, like I said, the difficulty does progress a little bit between them, but not all that much. So you are now leveling up a lot in between each of these worlds, so by the time that you get to like 4-1 or 5-1, the boss is going to be nothing. And that's the thing that I wanted to bring up about this, is that this is a Souls game, so it is known for its difficulty. In fact, for anybody who doesn't know the history of Demon's Souls, this game originally flopped. This game did not do well. It was not until people around the world started to hear these whispers of this Japanese game that they buried because it was too difficult and no one could play it, that all of a sudden people wanted to challenge themselves by hunting down a copy of this thing, and that's how it built up the fan base, because everyone was like, oh my goodness, this game is supposed to be really hard, well, I'm gonna check it out. So I know some people are asking, is the game as hard as they say it is? And I'm about to say the most douchey thing that anyone could possibly say when talking about a Souls game. I found this game to be incredibly hard when I played it the first time. I don't think it's that hard now. I actually found this to be kind of an easy experience, and I don't know if they actually made the game easier when porting it and remastering it for the PlayStation 5, because this is a launch title for the PlayStation 5, so they wanted to guarantee that all the people getting their PlayStation 5s, when there wasn't really any other PlayStation 5 games out there, would have a game that wouldn't frustrate them too much when they played it. Or if it's just because I have now played all the other Souls games, and I just now kind of know what you're supposed to do in them. But I'm bringing this up because I did want to address that issue, because I know a lot of people out there are thinking, well, I got PlayStation 5, this is one of the only things out there for a PlayStation 5 right now, but I know it's supposed to be really difficult, should I risk it? I don't really want to buy something that's going to be super frustrating, should I go ahead and buy this game? I would definitely still recommend checking this out, because, yes, it can be challenging, and just like with every Souls game, there's going to be that one point that you get to and you just think, well, this just seems unfair right now. But as I played the game this time, I began to realize, oh, this game gives you so many opportunities to level up, and level up a ton, where you can just make yourself a tank. You can make yourself this big invincible warrior who just goes in there, and now you're slaying all these monsters, because the game really gave you the option of, do you want to fight this monster now? Or do you want to level up against 5 other monsters and then come back to us? So yeah, I did want to address that right now, because for the people out there who are worried that this game is going to be too tough, I think as long as you are willing to explore everything in this game, as long as you're willing to check out every single enemy and fight every single boss, you're going to be big and buff by the time that you're done with this game. So no, I don't really think that it's all that tough. Also, it is, again, the very first of the Souls games, and all the Souls games are kind of known for being really dickish with their bosses, because every boss will have a second form where they just turn and do something insanely unfair to you, and they mix everything up and they go, oh, you weren't expecting that. Not in Demon's Souls. In Demon's Souls, they had not realized the power of second forms yet. Only one boss, I think, actually has a second form, and yes, that is one of the most aggressive and unfair bosses in the game. But aside from that, yeah, every other boss, you see them, they're a big monster that swings things around, you just kind of slash at them, you're done. Although I will say, there are certainly still other areas of this game that do feel unfair. For example, in all the later Souls games, there will be shortcuts. You have those little bonfires where you save, and then you gotta go out there and explore, and once you've explored enough, you'll find some kind of a hidden door that opens back up and goes back to that bonfire. So that way, if you die, you don't have to run around that huge area again. You can now take the shortcut. In Demon's Souls, there's some shortcuts in the beginning of the game, but once you get about halfway through it, there's like, nah, we're done with that. Oh, you don't need shortcuts anymore. If you die, feel free to just run through this entire level all over again. So yeah, there are definitely some areas in here that are unfair. As I said, it's the very first Souls game, so there are things in here that feel unpolished. Stuff like that, you can totally see the developers going, oh, this'll be fun, right? And it's not until they actually put it in the game that they looked at it and went, oh, that was not fun for anyone. No one actually enjoyed that. But even with those flaws, even with those things that feel unpolished, I still think this is an incredibly fun game. In fact, there's even a few things in here that never came back around in later Souls games that I do think are interesting ideas. For example, there's something in this game called the world tendency, where depending on what actions you carry out in the world, it will shift the world towards light or darkness. And depending on which direction you shift things, kind of decides what happens in the world. So if you want to do a secret side quest, that side quest might only be available to you if you push the world in the direction of light. If you want to upgrade some of your most powerful weapons later on in the game, you can only upgrade them if you get items that are dropped by enemies that only appear if you have pushed the world towards darkness. So there are some things in this game that help it to stand out as its own original thing. As I said, many of the ideas in this game, they were taken and improved upon for later Souls games, but this is something that definitely stands out as its own original thing. So yes, I think that if you are a fan of the Souls games and you have never played this game before, definitely check it out. There is no reason not to. But if you just have a PlayStation 5 and you kind of just bought for Spider-Man, but you find yourself now thinking, well, I kind of really want to see what else the PlayStation 5 can do. And yeah, I like dark fantasy and I like action games, so maybe I'll check this out. I would definitely recommend it. I would definitely push that from a maybe up to a yes. The game on its own, I would give this thing an 8 out of 10. But as a PlayStation 5 experience, as something that just shows off the graphics of the PlayStation 5, that just shows off the loading times of the PlayStation 5, oh man, I'm almost more impressed by that than anything else in this entire game. There are moments in here in which you would be fighting a big, giant, massive dragon and be like, yeah, okay, that's interesting, but oh my god, did you see that load time? Holy crap! But there you go, those are my thoughts on Demon's Souls. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And also, we're going to have a couple other quick reviews coming up later this week for some of the other PlayStation 5 games. We're going to talk about Miles Morales, might even talk a little bit about Bug Snacks, because that song will not get out of my head. But thank you guys for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at Thorgi's Arcade or on Twitch at Professor Thorgi. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next time.